Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires. Now we talk about the Clan of Kings, Clan Ventrue. Anyone who recently watched my ranking of the Vampire the Masquerade clans will know how highly I regard the Ventrue as a playable option in Vampire. They are, I think, one of the most versatile clans for players. They are also incredibly appealing. From memory, they were originally based, their concept was that they were the paladin class of Vampire the Masquerade, when all of the clans were essentially mirrored to D&D classes in their formation. And, well, I don't necessarily see that, although in the Dark Ages they certainly have a more knightly behaviour. I can absolutely see the appeal to both the Paladin class and the Ventrue clan. And I get it, because I think I've probably played more Ventrue characters than any other. It's not just because I'm British. It's not just because I'm British or that I know how to string a sentence together. Although a lot of people seem to assume that with my Gentleman's Guide to Vampire series of old, at least until it started becoming more obvious that I was playing a Ventrue. And I think that was just stereotyping. And I don't mind that stereotype at all. I mean, I'd much rather be stereotyped as a Ventrue than as a Nosferatu or a Tremere. Christ. Now, one of you fine folks who picked up a copy of one of the games I'm trying to push, The World Below, or indeed Curseborn, or indeed They Came from the RPG Anthology, got in touch with me via MatthewDawkins.com, showed me evidence of their purchase, and said I'd like a video about Clan Ventrue. Now, a long time ago, I made a video about the Ventrue, and this was a long time ago. So let's have some new thoughts as to them. Let's have some new thoughts as to how to play them, what you can do with them, and their clan history. What I find particularly interesting, starting with the history, is the way they are kind of presented as new money in Vampire the Dark Ages. Or rather, Dark Ages Vampire. Vampire the Dark Ages does it less, so those are two different editions of the same game, confusingly. But Dark Ages Vampire tries to set them up as basically new money in the, I guess, surroundings of Zimishi to the east, La Sombra to the south. The Bruja still have a bit of old power to them. That they are ascendant. This is the era where the Ventrue are going to lay claim to Europe, because, of course, their home, or their domain, broadly, is the fiefdoms of the Black Cross in Central Europe, roughly Germany and Austria, and, of course, the baronies of Avalon in Britain under Mithras. So you've got Hardstadt in the centre, you've got Mithras in the British Isles, and you've got various other Ventrue scattered about the place, like the Antasians, who are more humanity than Clan of Kings based. And you still have the Roman aspect of the Ventrue too. And now that is where I guess I find my first flaw with the Ventrue history. This positioning of them as new money kind of avoids the central Ventrue mythos that they were instrumental in Rome and its destruction of Carthage, that old canard, and Clan Bruja's ancient enmity. If you were the clan of Rome, you aren't exactly new money. Unless you assume that with the fall of Rome, the Ventrue fell as well, and therefore from around the era of the, well, what is often called the Dark Ages, or the early Middle Ages, so let's say around 600 AD to 1100 AD or CE, the Ventrue were very much pushed to the side. That even though the Bruja fell before them, both the Bruja and the Ventrue were clans on the wane. That's an interesting thing to explore, especially if you ever wanted to play in that era. Again, metaplot being what it is, there are exceptions to that. Mithras has been around since time immemorial. Antonius is one of the most powerful Ventrue in Constantinople and has been for quite some time, at least until his destruction. So there's going to be individual exceptions, but if we assume that the Ventrue clan for around 500 years or so weakened, And this is what allowed the Zimishi to cement their grip in Europe and allow the La Sombra to grip hold of Iberia and indeed the Italian city-states. Maybe the Ventrue, the eldest Ventrue, waking up in the Dark Ages, see the world around them, hear word of what happened to this prince? Oh, destroyed. What happened to that prince? Torpid. Who's in control now? One of the Magisters. And what about over there? One of the dragons. This is where the Ventrue brings their gauntleted fist down and says, never again. We are not losing this territory again. Rome will be rebuilt, and it will be rebuilt in our image. And when they're talking about Rome, they're not talking about Rome or Constantinople or even the Holy Roman Empire. They are talking about vampire society. I like the idea that the Ventrue from the Dark Ages on have a clear mission. Now, there is all kinds of rumour, conjecture, metaplot idea that is very barely explored, which has the sort of mastermind Ventrue in the background, like the board, as it were, who are never introduced by name, but they are the ones steering the clan, like it's a corporation. I like the idea of, and I keep liking these ideas because I like the Ventrue, that Clan Ventrue does have direction, it's just not obvious. That's the thing. The Giovanni have obvious direction. The Tremere have obvious direction. The ones where the hierarchy is very apparent are obvious. The Ventrue, yes, they have hierarchy based on blood, but they don't know who's pulling their strings. And is that really surprising? When their antediluvian is likely to be one of the masters of dominate, that no one knows what Vedartha or Ventrue, or call him what you like, is up to. Or even if he, it, them, they, she exists at this point. Plenty of rumours that Set or even Bruja or Troil decapitated the Ventrue antediluvian, but that could just be propaganda. So yeah, the idea that there's someone secretly pulling strings and that you're doing ultimately what the Ventrue want, and if they don't want you to do what you're doing, you will find out somehow, but it probably won't be through an oblique. Oh no, it would be oblique. You would feel like it's the Tremere sabotaging you or the Nosferatu undermining you. You wouldn't think it's actually the Ventrue pulling the strings to push you to a different course. I really enjoy that level of Machiavellian scheming that goes on so above your head that you are broadly unaware of it. But that's the kind of thing that an all Ventrue Chronicle, the Ventrue Chronicle, by the way, which is a Dark Ages through to modern era chronicle, which barely anyone ever talks about, is a really good story where most people are going to be playing Ventrue. So anyway. Yeah. As a clan, I really like them. And as playable options, clearly one of the most attractive features of the Ventrue is the idea of bloodline. The idea of saying, my name is Maximus, son of Tiberius, or child. Fuck it. Let's go for it. You'll say, my name is Maximus, child of Tiberius, grandchild of Augustus, great-grandchild of, they're all ending in us, you understand. Great-grandchild of Securitas, great-great-grandchild of Vedartha, and so on. That recitation of lineage has power. It's a way of introducing yourself in court immediately as somebody. When a Malkavian just sort of dithers into court and says, ha-ha, my name is Fish, everyone's there rolling their eyes thinking, oh Christ, not another one. When the Ventrue walks up and says, my name is Matthew, Milk and Magnesia, Archbishop of Canterbury, and so on, they are immediately saying, I belong here, I have a purpose, I am important. And yeah, people will still be rolling their eyes. Other kindred will be saying, oh God, a Ventrue, we're going to have to set our watches to the lineage count. But people aren't going to forget that you're a Ventrue by any count. I mean, there are plenty of vampire clans that are forgettable. The Ventrue are not. And I think carrying that in, even if your character is uncomfortable with that, the idea of I hate aristocracy is perfectly suitable, or you could be some corporatist plutocrat who doesn't like the idea of aristocracy and so on, and yet your sire has drilled into you, you're going to say this because it will get your foot in the door. And no Ventrue is going to be embraced unless they know how to get their foot in the door, or they know the value of getting their foot in the door, because the Ventrue are an aspirant clan. They are a clan with ambition. They want to rule. They want to lead. That is a key thing here. I've often said, and it's something I remember discussing with Karim at Paradox, who I worked with on several of the V5 books, that the La Sombra are interested in victory. The Ventrue are interested in ruling. The La Sombra really don't care how they do it and how many heads must roll. I mean, they just want to win. The Ventrue want to rule. They want their subjects looking up at them, and you know what? They want them looking up with gratitude. They want to see the Ventrue not with fear in their eyes. They want people to look up at the Ventrue and think, thank goodness for that clan. It's a good way to play a Ventrue. The constant martyr. You don't know what I'm sacrificing to ensure your safety. You don't know what the prince has to do to make sure this city remains safe from the Sabbat or the Garou or whomever. But what they do by saying this is be grateful for the Ventrue. You may not like us, but we do the kinds of things that no one else is prepared to because we know what the stakes truly are. So you go off, you have fun, you rave and you rage and you have your moots. You crawl around the sewers and exchange information. But just remember who's in charge and what the cost of being in charge is. You wouldn't want this job. Only the Ventrue are prepared for it. And I don't believe that there's some kind of preparation that comes through the blood. It's not the vitae that makes you appropriate as a ruler. Ventrue blood is no more potent than any other clans, although they'd probably disagree on that. It's more that there is such a tradition of sire to child indoctrination of this is what you must do, going all the way down, that by the time you are released into Elysium and introduced to your fellow vampires, you may not believe it, but you will have heard it repeatedly. So when you get stuck, because there will be plenty of times in Elysium where a Toreador saunters over to you and decides to say, so what are you wearing then? Or, what's that supposed to be? Or what are you supposed to do around here? A Ventrue may stutter and bluster and not be sure, what am I supposed to do with this person? But the fallback can always be, I'm a representative of Clan Ventrue, what are you? Because Ventrue carries weight. It has a resonance. Built all the way back in Rome, and yes, it collapsed with Rome, but then it was built again in the Dark Ages. And you play that character that way, and people will recognize your power as a Ventrue. That is one of the key aspects of playing one of the Blue Bloods. They know their importance, and they know how to project it. All they have to do is basically say, oh no, you don't know me, but you probably know who my sire is. At which point you recite your sire's name. That has so much more impact than being a Tremere who can do it, or a Ravnos, or a Gangrel. So, yes, it is very easy to play a Ventrue stereotype, lean into being the stockbroker, or lean into being the business director, the CEO, a fallen member of ancient aristocracy, that kind of thing. That's doable. You can do that. That's probably a very easy way to play a Ventrue, and that's not a bad way of playing a Ventrue. In fact, there are many things you can do to play a Ventrue. And here's, I guess, my point. Any person from any background can be a Ventrue, as long as there is some way in which they can exert their presence. And I don't just mean their discipline. I mean, you could be security, and you could be a Ventrue, because you know how to make sure that your company, the company you're protecting, feels secure and reliant on you and you alone, because you're the one with all the secrets and the keys. But you also make sure that anyone who's looking to break into this facility that you are responsible for guarding, or you have to hire all of the guards for it, they will have to cross you. And if they cross you, they cross Clan Ventrue. Obviously, it's only Kindred who will know that, but mortals will know, no, this isn't someone you want to mess with. I once saw him confront someone. He made them wet themselves and then eat their own gun. Because mortals don't know what dominate is. Mortals don't know what presence is. Any kind of capacity, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a doctor, it doesn't have to be a degreed profession. You could be a small business owner. Hell, you could be a teenager with a gang. Any position, any role where you can project yourself and become dominant, but dominance with appreciation from others, you're not just trying to be a bully, is well suited to being a Ventrue. So when I said at the beginning of this video that there are very few clans quite as versatile, or that there are so many playable options when you play a Ventrue, that I've played so many Ventrue, I genuinely mean that. The way in is purely looking for a character that wants to push themselves to the forefront. Someone who may indeed have never been able to do so when they were mortal, and so they're now grateful not only to being undead, but they are grateful to their sire for their embrace. And they are grateful to their clan as well, because their clan enables them to do it. And so the loyalty to Clan Ventrue is assured. They are the clan of concreteness. They are unshakable. The pillar will not bend or break. The Ventrue will last forever as far as they are concerned. And your character is a vital part of that pillar. Don't let the clan down, or the clan will crush you. The only thing that can destroy the Ventrue is another Ventrue. The Brujah might chip at the foundations occasionally, set some fires, but don't worry. We can always embrace more Ventrue, and our pillars are fireproof. So the Brujah can do whatever they like. The Ventrue rise to the top. They always do, always will, and you'd best learn that. Thank you very much for watching.